The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Keep the faith.
This is going to be a disaster.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
President Donald Trump's embattled nominee for defense secretary inching closer to confirmation.
What? The motion passes.
Former Fox News host Pete Hegseth set to face his final confirmation vote late tonight after narrowly surviving a key test vote. But two Republicans joining every Democrat to vote against him. Republican Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine, both saying Hegseth's limited experience and personal conduct mean they cannot support him. Murkowski writing, his lack of judgment is unbecoming of someone who would lead our armed forces. In particular, the four-term Republican pointing to his admitted infidelity and allegations of excessive drinking and sexual assault, both of which he denies. Sources now confirming Hegseth paid $50,000 to a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017 as part of their settlement agreement. Hegseth denies he assaulted her, saying that it was consensual and that he only agreed to the settlement because he feared the allegations would hurt his career.
Mr. Hegseth has denied it all.
I've known Pete for a long time. He'll do a great job.
Another issue for both female senators, his views on women in combat roles.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles.
The Army veteran later walking that back, saying he opposed quotas for women and minorities serving in certain roles, which the Pentagon has made clear do not exist.
Okay, here are some words that you never want to hear in the same sentence. Fox News host and confirmation for Secretary of Defense. Hello? I mean, happy Friday, you bastards. This is like surreal. It's a nightmare. It's going to be a very long 4 years is what it's going to be. But really, truly, when you hear in any serious reporting, Fox News host confirmation hearing, be afraid, be very, very afraid. Run away, everybody. Just run. I mean, this is a guy whose own ex-wife, who is under apparently a non-disparagement agreement, meaning she's not allowed to talk ill of him, said, well, I will tell you, he's more likely to be drunk than not. Great. Let's put him in charge of the military. What could go wrong? And tonight is the reason why I'm starting with this is because tonight is the night that they will take the vote to confirm him or to not confirm him in our most deliberative body, the United States Senate. Now, you know the lay of the land there, right? Okay, so there's 53 Republicans and the rest are Democrats, which means we don't have enough votes to stop it. Certainly, we don't have enough votes to make him the nominee, but they do. They do, because this is a majority-only thing, right? This is a majority-only vote. They need 51 votes. So if there's 53 of them, and we know two, Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins are a nay, they are a no, then we need what? What do you think? We need two more. Why? Well, let's see. We need to not have a tie. And the tiebreaker would be J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance of Hillbilly Elegy fame would be the tie-breaking vote in the scenario in which 3 Republicans vote no. So you know you have Murkowski and Collins are no's. If you had one more, then he would come in and break the tie. So we need 2 more. And I'm suggesting, just based on observational, intellect, intuitive nature, curiosity, things like this. I'm guessing that it's possible that Mitch McConnell, swear to God, I said this early on, that Mitch McConnell could join Murkowski and Collins in the no column, because he really does respect the military and the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, and the budget that goes along with that, the lobbying that goes along with that, okay? Seriously, because Mitch McConnell was the majority leader in the Senate, and when he wasn't in the majority, he was the minority leader in the Senate, leading his caucus through very, strange and muddy times and, doing it with aplomb. Everybody loved Mitch McConnell because he wanted one thing and one thing only, and that was control of the Supreme Court. That's what Mitch McConnell wanted. And then on the B list of the things he wanted was money. Money for fundraisers, money from fundraisers, money for, his political action committee, money for the Senate Leadership Committee. Why does he want money for that? Because he can then make or break members. He can actually say to a member, don't worry if anybody primaries you. We got so much cash over here. I got your back. But you're going to vote the way I want you to vote. You're going to stay in line. This is how, and this is not a Republican thing. It's not a Democratic thing. It's a government thing. It's an American government thing. It's our system, and it's been our system for about, 12 years now, especially after Citizens United said that corporations are people, my friend. Money is speech. And so it is possible that Mitch McConnell could say, no, I'm not going to vote for Pete Hegseth because I have respect for the Pentagon budget, the amount of lobbying that goes on around the defense budget, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. He's got his reasons. Maybe he's a no. So who else could we get? See, because I told you we need two. I'm thinking number two, that might join Murkowski and Collins, and I hope it's McConnell. Now, McConnell could actually pave the way for others to come on board. But if we can only get one more, my most likely to, abandon Hegseth in the Republican Party would be Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina. What? Yes. And this is why I think Donald Trump was in North Carolina today, threatening them with withholding FEMA money. Literally saying, hey, North Carolina, FEMA sucks, okay? FEMA, only when your governor asks for FEMA and only when your governor says it's a disaster, then FEMA comes in and they make a mess and they do this and they do that and they're not good. You're going to have to come through me now to get disaster money. I swear to God, this is what. And he's doing this because he wants to be king of the red states. Now, as far as California goes, he said he would not allow for disaster money to go to California without any conditions. And he's been saying this for a week now. And people are just like freaked out. Even senators are freaked out that he's putting conditions on disaster relief, on disaster aid, on FEMA. He's literally saying, oh, no, forget FEMA. It doesn't work. It's going through me now. And I'm going to put conditions on California. So today, when he was in North Carolina and he had made this announcement that FEMA is no longer a thing, I don't know how he thinks he can just do that. But, okay, this is his weird world that he lives in, that FEMA is no longer a thing and that he is going to make people come through him. And he does have conditions for California. One of the conditions for California, I swear to God, you can't make Donald Trump more stupid than Donald Trump is. He said he wants voter ID in California. This is one of his conditions. What does this have to do with the price of eggs? Oh, and that's another thing. Okay, that's another thing. Yesterday I was wondering, why is Jesse Waters on the TV saying that he can't get his fluffy eggs and complaining about eggs and that eggs are expensive and he doesn't like that eggs are expensive? Honestly, I honestly didn't understand. I thought that was like white privilege and just please, dear Lord, tell me he was joking with his warped audience or something. No. This goes in tandem with something else that happened this week, okay? And I told you about it yesterday, that the Department of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, has been told not to put out any announcements for the next 10 days. Nothing about health, nothing about pandemics, nothing about, viruses, nothing about flu, nothing. And now I know why. There is this massive, massive amount of avian flu that is killing millions of laying hens.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and, whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA. And then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area. They've never been to the area. They want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. And you could go back a long way. You could go back to Louisiana. You could go back to some of the things that took place in Texas. It turns out to be the state that ends up doing the work. It just complicates it. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away. And we pay directly. We pay a percentage to the state. But the state should fix it.
A percentage of what to the state? We pay a percentage to the... I mean, the guy he just makes stuff up out of whole cloth, and he does it when people are in the worst possible situations, when people are in the worst possible, recovery portion of a major disaster. Now, you know Donald Trump has pilfered from FEMA, right? You understand Donald Trump literally took money out of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It was multiple millions. It was like $155 million. I just checked. $155 million from the Disaster Relief Fund from FEMA to pay for immigration detention spaces and hearing locations for asylum seekers who had been told to wait in Mexico. Well, there was no place for them to have hearings. He had to buy space to have the detention hearings in freaking Mexico. And so he took the money from disaster relief and he reprogrammed it. And this is a big damn thing. This is a big damn thing that the president is taking money and he's, redesigning the program that it was meant for because he feels like it. I'm sorry, but last time we looked at the Constitution, the president does not have the power of the purse. It means a simple thing. The president of the United States cannot spend a thin dime. Only Congress can appropriate money. And what he's been doing, in his first term and what he wants to do now in this term, and he said it out loud, is he wants to be, and this is what this Russell Vogt bastard is, and he is a bastard. He's the guy that was caught on, I guess it was a PBS thing in the hotel room saying that he wants to traumatize all the federal workers. He needs them to be afraid to come to work and so traumatized that they won't come to work. Well, now you know exactly who he was talking about, okay? Donald Trump does this first thing where he sets violent criminals free. And then he claims that the violent criminals that he set free owe him their lives. Meaning you're in service to me and me alone now. This is real Banana Republic stuff, okay? But this is really what he did. And he actually said, listen, you owe me your life. I saved your life. I gave you back your life, okay? Here.
That were participated in the January 6, 2021 attack. Do you plan to meet with any of them or meet with them at the White House?
I don't know. I'm sure that they probably would like to. I did them something important, but what they did is they were protesting a crooked election. And, people understand that also.
Protest.
And they were treated very badly. Nobody's been treated like that. So I'd be open to it, certainly. I don't know of anything like that, but I think they're going to meet in some of the congressmen, women, want to meet. But I'd certainly be open to it.
Have you spoken to them since you issued the pardons?
I haven't spoken to any of them yet, but I know they're very happy.
Mr. President,
I gave them their life back. Their life was taken away from them unnecessarily and unfairly. I gave them their life back, so I can imagine they probably would like to.
Oh, my God! I gave them their life back. Meaning you are indentured. You are you are servile to me. I gave you your life back. You are a violent criminal. You beat police officers. You crushed police officers. You bear sprayed police officers. You brought guns to the Capitol. You caused a riot. You broke windows. You defecated on the floor. You smeared the feces on the walls. You're like a bunch of, I've seen primates with better manners than you have. And one guy was sitting at Nancy Pelosi's with a stun gun. Okay, all these guys, he let them go. He said, F it. F it. I don't really feel like reviewing their cases. Empty the prisons. Empty them. I like emptying the prisons. I like doing that. He did that and then claimed that he had given them their lives back. Therefore, if he calls upon them to do a service, and the Don doesn't ask twice if you deny the first ask. Okay? And that's where we are. And he's literally using them as shock troops to freak everybody out. And everybody who works for FEMA, according to Russ Vogt, everybody who works in the government is going to be made to fear going to work. Going to work. Now, you know that the FEMA people are about to, meet militia members in the field. I mean, this is bizarre. This is madness. This is a man who is ill-equipped to serve in the world's greatest democracy. He's ill-equipped to serve even in his own organization as determined by many courts, many times. He's ill-equipped to serve as the head of a charity or the owner of a charity, as courts have decided. I shouldn't say courts. Juries. So here he is threatening to end FEMA while he's standing in a disaster area where people have lost everything, their homes, their schools, their place of worship, every single thing. Their whole lives have been flooded out, destroyed by the remnants of a hurricane. And he's saying, no, I'm going to get rid of FEMA. You have to come to me. Yeah, I need you to come to me. And, the shock troops that I did, they owe me my life. So, don't stay. Now, listen, here's the thing. Circle back to, Hegseth and making a mockery of the military and using the military as part of his culture war. That's what's going on here. And we know this because of who he fired this week. He fired the only female commander of any branch of the U.S. services. He fired the head of the Coast Guard, who was a female. He fired a colonel in Texas, I think. No, in Hawaii. Fired a colonel. I mean, he's literally making a mockery of service in the military. I mean, obviously, it's been a thing where women have been in the services since World War II, okay? And as you know, I was in there. And he wants to now say somehow my service was not good. It was bad service. It was not good service. It was bad service. We shouldn't have them. We shouldn't. The women shouldn't. They shouldn't be. They should be at the home. They should be with the kids. They should be, in the grocery store. You can't fight a war without women, okay? You just can't do it. It won't happen. But he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care. He's making a mockery of the military with a drunk in charge of it. And then standing there saying, here's your new military. It'll be these violent guys. And he's doing it so that guys like Mitch McConnell, who do have money to help people that feel like they might be primaried, are still afraid of one more thing. Right, MAGA.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com. Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844.
Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start. Because, and in all fairness to the governor, and in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball. And we're going to turn it all around.
Yeah, you want disaster relief? F you, pay me. And I'll give you a percentage back. It's so interesting. I just have to, play you one clip where he says what he wants from California in order to get through him, to get the money, to get the disaster relief that, United States actually are entitled to because, California pays more into the government than it takes out of the government. How does that work? So California is a high tax state. They pay a lot of taxes into the federal coffers. And that money then gets redistributed to red states that can't raise enough taxes because they have a very poor population. They don't have the kind of industry opportunities that California has. They don't have 44 million people in those states to support that kind of coffer. Okay, and so the money that California pays, New York too, very high tax states, are actually supporting low tax states. They're supporting red states. Blue states support red states. And so for every dollar that California pays in, it takes out less than $1. For every dollar Alabama pays in, they get like $2 back. That's the way this country operates. So, you could debate it some other day, but not while people's, places are flooded or people's houses are on fire. I mean, that's a stupid time to do it, don't you think? That's a cruel time to do it, don't you think? That is a completely dead inside kind of a thing to do, but that's what he's doing. And why is Melania always around for the disasters? I mean, she must get off on it or something. But anyway, here's what he said. The reporter said, well, are you going to, now that the money has to come through you, and you're doing away with FEMA, and he's not sure. He's really not sure because this press conference was so bizarre. Now, I got to imagine that this is going on in everybody's house now, even people who voted for him that aren't, 100% violent MAGA. There are a lot of people in this country that voted for him, but they're not violent MAGA. It's like the girls in my hair salon, okay? They're not violent. They're not, I don't know. Maybe they think they're MAGA, MAGA pieces. You know what I mean? Like they'd hang on a MAGA guy or something like that. I don't know. They're always alone. They never have boyfriends, these girls, ever. And they're pretty. They're very pretty, I will say. But anyway, I'm sure they voted for him not thinking that he was going to say, hey, if Florida gets another hurricane, Florida's going to have to bail itself out. Florida barely has a homeowner's insurance anymore. So, and why are we talking about the aftermath of climate change instead of preventing climate? He was talking about how he hates windmills. Again, hates them. And he hates solar panels. He hates them because they have 10 by 10, like big 10 by 10, acres of solar fields, and people don't like them. This is him saying people don't like. Anyway, he doesn't want to talk about mediation. He doesn't want to talk about, doing anything that would make these storms somehow less severe, somehow less moist. In the case of floods. And in the case of fire, somehow less droughty, No, this is what he wants for California in order for California to get any aid.
Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us.
Okay.
So rather than going,
that's my bad. Okay, here.
Mr. President, funding to Los Angeles because of its sanctuary city policy.
I want to see two things in Los Angeles: voter ID, so that the people have a chance to vote. And I want to see the water be released and come down into Los Angeles and throughout the state. Those are the two things. After that, I will be the greatest president that California has ever seen. I want the water to come down and come down to Los Angeles and also go out to all the farmland that's barren and dry. They have land that they say is the equivalent of the land in Iowa, which is about as good as there is anywhere on earth. The problem is it's artificial because they artificially stop the water from going onto the land. So I want two things. I want voter ID for the people of California, and they all want it. Right now, you don't have voter ID. People want to have voter identification. You want to have proof of citizenship. Ideally, you have one-day voting, but I just want voter ID as a start, and I want the water to be released, and they're going to get a lot of help from the U.S.
Excuse me. What the F is he talking about? What is he talking about? He is deranged. We have a deranged president. We have a man who is like so far gone into the head, into his own head. I don't know what he's talking about. Honestly, the magical faucet, the magical spigot, and I don't know, voter ID. I mean, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with him? And you have to go through me, California. You have to go through him now. And if you don't do voter ID and proof of citizenship, what? I don't understand. And build like the magical spigot and the magical faucet, and then I don't know, the magical reservoir that holds all of the magical water that will magically appear in the reservoir through the aqueduct system that is magically being hidden from you. Then you're not getting help. You're not.
We're talking about the land of Hollywood, right? They could get a set, build a giant
CGI, baby.
Yes,
they could fake it.
Fake it. Get a spigot. Have some people like, turning it all dramatic. We turned it on, Mr. President. We're done.
No, I honestly, I don't understand what's wrong with him. And it's frightening. It's absolutely frightening because you don't have very many Republicans who are willing to stand up and say the emperor has no clothes. You don't have very many Republicans that are willing to stand up and say he's putting the worst people in. Before he said he was going to do the best people. He knew all the best people. Carl Icahn and Tom, what's his name? Tillis. What was it? The Exxon guy?
Tillerson?
Yes, Rex Tillerson. Carl Icahn said, "Oh hell no, I don't want to have anything to do with you." And then Tillerson said he's a moron. He actually said he's an effing moron and walked away. Okay, he was the energy secretary. So you had the best people. Now he's doing the worst people, and he's creating a cacostocracy, which is the worst people, on purpose. On purpose, say, well, the best people, they put they put limits on what I could do as the king. The worst people, they won't know. He'll be drunk. And he's literally trying to take the government apart piece by piece. It's sad.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
So I got to believe this is going on in everybody's house, okay? I do. He says the craziest, things in the world. Whatever whim, whatever thing blows through that freaking straw head of his. And I got to believe that people who did vote for him, okay, who did, but aren't like, violent MAGA, are watching this on the TV, okay? They're watching him release violent criminals. They're watching him say, I'm doing away with FEMA in disaster zones. And, in exchange for giving California relief from these massive, hurricanes, but no water. They were fire hurricanes that just blew through. It's still going on. There's another fire in north of LA right now. That in order to get relief, you have to come to me, go through me. And what I want from California is voter ID and proof of citizenship. And people have got to be standing there going, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And, somebody else in the house, not in the room with you, like you're in the bathroom or you're in the kitchen, wherever you have your TV. And they're going, what happened? What happened? You go, no, nothing. He just said something. Who? Him, him. Oh, it's going to be a long 4 years. It's going to be a long, long, long 4 years. This is crazy. And this is the first week. The good news, I gave it to you yesterday. I'll say it again. This could be peak Trump. This could be it. If Mitch McConnell literally grows one and stands up tonight and says no to a drunk who never, ever commanded anything larger than his platoon, which, is a good thing. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, you. Still, not enough to, run the Pentagon. The freaking Pentagon! If Mitch McConnell stands up and says no, and you could get Tom Tillis to say, which I'm really sure this is why he's in North Carolina, saying, no, we're going to give all the money to, like Franklin Graham. Seriously, we're going to give all the money to Franklin Graham. He's a great thing for this state, and Franklin Graham will give the money to the people who need it. What? Right. Pastors that grift and, generationally are very trustworthy, Why not give all the money to, Jimmy Swaggart? Oh, because he's dead. I mean, Melissa in Wisconsin.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So my question is for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching PBS News the other night, and they were talking about how Trump has instructed his Homeland Security to come back in 90 days to see if he can put out the Insurrection Act. Is there anybody in the government that would stick up to him and not let him do that?
Well, in order to release the military, you have to have somebody who agrees to release the military. That would be Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and that's why,
Lord.
right? And that's why it's so important what happens tonight. Okay,
Yes.
It's very, very, very important that we not have a drunk monkey in charge of the Pentagon and in charge of our soldiers. Because, listen, the next level down is the soldiers themselves, the airmen themselves, the Marines themselves, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I listen, I live in a neighborhood where almost everybody is a sheriff, okay? And I live in a neighborhood where almost everybody voted for Donald Trump, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm the only one. I'm the odd man out, okay? And I'm used to it because it's Florida. But when I ask the sheriffs, that live across the street from me and one down the block, one is a Marine. He has his Marine flag that is bigger than almost his whole house hanging on his garage. I mean, really. Another one is a paratrooper from Iraq. And I asked them, do you want to be thought of as the Gestapo? And they said, no, please, we do not want to be in that position. That's not a definite no, I won't, turn you in, Randy.
Right.
But I don't really want to.
Right.
So.
Oh, jeez.
And no, there isn't anybody, unless tonight you see a couple of Republicans grow a spine.
And when do they vote on that tonight?
9:00, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to get my fingers crossed.
I think it's 9. Keep listening. I'll give you the exact, the correct time as soon as I can look it up. All right. But
okay, we'll do.
All right, but it is tonight. Well, thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome. So, yeah, it comes down to just say no to using force against your neighbors. Swear that's where we are. Sean in Kentucky. Oh, Sean. No? Okay. He's not there. He wasn't there. So anyway, let me just check for her. I think it's 9:00 tonight. I didn't get an answer. All right. So this is where we are. We're at this inflection point, as Joe Biden used to say all the time, and tried to explain to you that, and he embarrassed us just in 1 week. Just in 1 week, all of this crap happened, right? And he went to Davos, the anti-globalist that he is, to talk to the global bankers. And he repeated all these false claims about the trade deficit and that, NATO has to now pay 5%. He got them to pay 3% or something like that. And now he wants everybody in NATO to pay 5%. Well, we don't pay 5%. We pay 3%. And if we paid 5%, then our NATO bill would go up by $500 billion. $500 billion. Okay? So he also talked about these trade deficits that we don't have. He made stuff up, and, he's talking to bankers. He's talking to the global bankers. He's talking to bankers from all over the world, American bankers and Swedish bankers and Swiss bankers and Spanish bankers and European bankers. And I mean, like the whole freaking world. And they all knew what a clown he was. Everyone at Davos saw what a complete oafish clown this man is and how he has absolutely no grasp on trade, whether it was with the European Union, whether it was with China, whether it was with Canada, whether it was with Mexico. He literally said, and you'll hear him say this, he says this all the time. When he went to Davos, he said, the European Union, quote, they don't take our farm products and they don't take our cars. Now, you've heard him say that over and over and over again, okay? Okay, here's what we do with our farm products. This is the market for farm products, American farm products in Europe. $12 billion of our farm products the European Union takes from us. Cars, $9 billion of our exported automobiles the European Union takes. Now, what you could say is that the European Union takes a lot of European-designed cars, cars that are made by European automakers in U.S. plants, but still, it's a lie to say that they're not taking our stuff. I mean, it's the same thing he said with China, okay? He said our trade deficit with China is massive. He said we have a $1.1 trillion deficit with China. That is ridiculous. That is not true. What we have is $378 billion was the highest trade deficit we ever had with China. Not $1 trillion, but about a third of that, okay? $378 billion in a trade deficit. Do you know when that record was actually set? That's right. It was set during Donald Trump's first presidency in 2018. That's when we had a record trade deficit with China. It has bounced under Biden, but it's been lower than $378 billion every single year of Biden's presidency. And in 2023, it was about the lowest it's been in quite some time because of Donald Trump. It was $252 billion, lower than any year of Trump's presidency. So he makes up this huge number because he doesn't think people can contemplate. He thinks we're idiots. He thinks MAGA are morons. He thinks everybody is dumber than he is, including the bankers. He actually said this, I swear to God, in Davos. He said, they asked him something about, so you're going to bring down interest rates. Now, you know that the interest rates are done by the Federal Reserve, which is separate and apart from politics. And it's done by central bankers all over the world. They are usually, central bankers are very, very much separated from politics 99% of the time. And, unless you're in a communist country or a fascist country or an oligarchical place like, Putin's Russia or Orban's Hungary. But they asked Donald Trump, does he set the interest? He goes, yes. And, I need to have control over the interest rates because he said, well, I know more about interest rates than the bankers do. I know more about this than anybody. So I need to set the interest rates. Now, if he's saying that we have a $1.1 trillion deficit with China, and he's completely wrong, and that the record deficit with China in trade was set by him, how could you say he knows more about anything than these than these central bankers do? Well, you can't, because he's crazy. Said the same thing about Canada. He said we have this $250 billion trade deficit with Canada. No, we don't. No, we don't. Not even close.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Keep the faith. This is going to be a disaster.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building, connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding.
They said.
You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So we are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup. Good, clean coal. If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil or gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant.
He actually said that to the World Economic Forum attendees. He said they said, wow. And I said, you could have any kind of electricity you want. You could have any kind of power you want. But like some people put the coal plant right next to the plant because if you get blown up, if a pipe gets blown up, then you could have the clean, beautiful coal sitting beside the plant. And then he went on to say about how the coal would only change shape if it was blown up, that the coal would just change shape, but it would still be a wonderful charcoal briquette or some such thing in his weirdo imagination of what it takes to power cities and office buildings and computing centers, which is what he was talking about there. And then he downshifted into lying about a deficit with Canada, a trade deficit with Canada, and how Canada has nothing we want. They have absolutely nothing we want. Then stop importing their freaking oil. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But he does buy it. We do buy it. U.S. The U.S. imports Canadian oil, even though we have enough oil here. We don't need to import any oil. We don't need to do that. But there is a certain kind of disgusting, dirty oil that Canada has. It's a heavy, disgusting tar sand crude. Okay. And we like that. We import that. We import about 4 million barrels of Canadian disgusting tar sands, ugly, thick, gross, heavy crude from the Alberta oil sands. And it is in very high demand in the United States by businesses in the Midwest. Oh, yes. The Midwest, they have refineries there that are designed to process this very heavy crude into diesel. And that's why we import the disgusting heavy crude that Canada produces, where America is pretty, self-sufficient when it comes to sweet, light crude, things like that. But besides for that, and that creates the trade imbalance because we buy a whole lot of that crap from them, but they also buy from us an inordinate amount of things, services too, So basically, they have one thing that we want. Do you know what it is? Do you know? I've told you before. That's right, a marketplace. A marketplace. They have a marketplace that we sell into, okay? And we like having they are I think they're our number one trading partner. Wait, I wrote it down. First of all, we need the heavy crude to keep on, rolling because, in fact, importing Canadian oil helps protect jobs in the United States refining industry. And it's also cheaper. It's cheaper than what we produce, which is the light, sweet crude that's produced in Texas and Louisiana. Anyway, okay, so what do I do with my list of our trading partners, like the number 1, 2, and 3? Well, I could tell you this. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4 is Canada, China, Mexico, and the European Union. Yeah. So he's lying, and he's making us look like stupid fools. He's literally embarrassing us on the world stage. Now, the market likes this. The market is very thrilled with the stupidity of this man. They're like, okay, we're gonna do what we got to do right now to shore ourselves out because this man's gonna crash the United States. He is, and we'll be there. We'll be there with the with the buster to pick up the crumbs. We're gonna be there. I mean, he just, it's not that he lies so much. It's that the exaggerations in the trade talk and the exaggeration in the tariff talk and the exaggeration in his economic policy and the misstatements and the characterization of everybody else being, in an interconnected world, everybody else being, we don't need you. We don't need that. We don't have to have that. you know, and the pissing off of the high tax states that support the low tax states. You know, the Californias and the New Yorks who support the Alabamas and the Tennessees and the Mississippis I mean, it's so bizarre. And I guess the only card he has to play is to scare people. You know, he's trying to scare us all. Oh, we're unsafe with him, and I don't think so. And you know, I just refuse to be afraid of you know, a man like that. He's so incompetent and so weak and empty and has no. I mean, yes, be afraid of a savvy, you know, like. I don't know. I mean, Elon Musk is scarier to me. He is. He's scarier to me than Donald Trump is. You know, he can figure his way out of a paper bag. I don't think Donald Trump can. I think Donald Trump can only cheat. I think that's all he knows how to do. I think that's all he's ever done. He loves debt. So anybody who thinks he's going to pay down our debt, you know, here's what's really scary. You want to be scared? I'll give you something to be scared about. Donald Trump wants to lower taxes yet again, okay, for the corporate class, okay, for the corporate elite. Now, our tax breaks that we got, that little minuscule amount that ordinary people got out of his tax plan back then, back in, 17, I guess. It was the only thing he did. It was the only thing he passed. It was the only meaningful piece of legislation, other than continuing resolutions to keep the government open. He shut down the government once. Cost us a couple $2 billion, more than that actually, but whatever. And that was the only tool he had. That was the only, you know, revenge he could take. It didn't really work. It didn't last, blah, blah, blah. So he's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. But the idea that he wants to give another tax cut to the wealthy, our tax cuts expire. The corporate tax cuts that went from 35% to 21%, they don't expire. But ours do, our individual tax breaks, which were minuscule, but they expire. So now he's going to, you know, try and do a new tax bill, a big, massive one. Now remember that the corporate tax doesn't expire, the corporate reduction from 35 to 21. But he wants to lower it to 15. Do you know what that costs? Do you have any idea what that costs? I'll tell you what it costs. $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Added to the debt, added to the national debt, unless he pays for it. And when he talks about where he wants to look to get money to pay for it, he's talking about taxing us. He's talking about getting rid of the mortgage tax deduction, the mortgage interest deduction, which you don't get to deduct all the interest you pay on the mortgage to the bank. You get to deduct a percentage of the interest. He wants to take that away from you. He wants to take that away from you. And then, remember, he wants to add tariffs to everything based on these fake numbers that he said at Davos. A situation that doesn't even exist. You'll pay that tax, too.
I watched it on TV.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
For decades, Rhonda Self's Watkins Grill in Raleigh has served up diner classics for a bargain.
This is number 5 altogether, right?
But in the past few weeks, they had to raise the price of one breakfast staple, eggs.
It went last Friday. It was $63. And that Monday, it was $78.
The reason is an avian flu outbreak that has killed more than 20 million egg-laying chickens from September to December.
For the most part, people don't care as long as it's good, right? Right. There you go.
Now, waiters tell their customers as soon as they come in that egg dishes are now 75 cents to $1 more expensive.
I say, Mike, we had to go up on the prices because the eggs have went crazy high on us, so we have to charge you a little bit more, and most of the time the customer says, that's okay.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the price of eggs has gone up 36% in the past year. NC State economist Mike Walden says the current rise isn't only hurting consumers.
Farmers are not liking this either. In fact, North Carolina is accounted for, the statistic I read, accounted for about 60% of the drop in the supply of eggs nationwide.
Walden says he doesn't see this outbreak going away soon.
I mean, it's just like amazing to me. So you had egg prices were high under Joe Biden. And this is the reason we were told that the non-MAGA Republican voters voted for Donald Trump, because the eggs were too pricey. The cost of eggs was too much. It was too much to bear. They were shell-shocked. But now egg prices are almost $9 a dozen. Again, $9 a dozen. And she's like, they don't care as long as, the food's good, right? Yes. So I guess where you stand on everything, where your core beliefs are on everything, depends on which side of the aisle you sit on. Your stand in the world depends on your ass and where you park it. And so if you're parked on the red side of the aisle, $9 is not too much to pay for an egg. It's fine. But if you have a Democratic president and eggs are $4.35, it's his fault. I hate him. I'm voting. I'm going to vote for a fascist. I don't care. I'm not paying that much for an egg. Well, it's going to get worse. You know why? Because this man cannot manage any emergencies, period. He froze during COVID. He literally froze and denied that it was a thing. Literally denied that it was a airborne virus, extremely contagious, and that people needed to wear masks to keep themselves socially distanced. And that was just a start for what needed to happen so people could function in a society. The whole world went through it. The whole world. We changed presidents. All of a sudden, vaccines were everywhere. People could choose to get them or choose not to get them. There was no vaccine mandate. Just maybe in the military there was, because, I just tell you what I remember in the military. Barracks. 40 of us sleeping on cots in a barracks. Yeah, it's close quarters. Submarine living is, I wasn't in the Navy, I was in the Air Force, but submarine living, it's close quarters. So Donald Trump has decided he's going to reinstate. He's going to reinstate the people that literally refuse to take a vaccine and serve their country and protect each other, protect their buddies, which for me, that was like the be all end all, was you take care of your buddies. I mean, if there's one person who's a weak link in your platoon, or if in my case it's called squadron, if there was one person who's a weak link in my squadron, that person could get me killed. So it was my job to make sure that person was strong, that person was highly functioning, that person had all the information they needed in order to be, a war fighter, even though we were cargo people. Yeah, Pete Heggs, he thinks everybody needs to be, lethal. I don't want a lethal person serving me breakfast. I just don't. I want a nice, soldier with a hairnet. That's good. That works for me. But anyway, egg prices. And so what does he do? He instructs Health and Human Services, who has, all these, things have acting people now, acting. And a lot of them are like super unqualified to do these jobs. Super worst of the worst. Know nothing about pandemics, know nothing about avian flus or, airborne virus, nothing. So what Donald Trump has instructed them to do, because he doesn't want them to make him look stupider than he looked at Davos, apparently, is to say nothing. Yeah, say nothing. So for the next 10 days, we will not be getting any reports from the Food and Drug Administration. We will not be getting any reports from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes of Health, or the Department of the Department of Health and Human Services. We will have absolutely no information about avian flu. So unless you can figure it out for yourself, here's what I want you to know. There's a lot of people in this audience that have animals that go outside. Most of you, it'll be a cat. Some of you have dogs that you let go outside and, run around and, maybe you have a backyard. I don't know. I'm not here to criticize how you let your dogs out. Who let their dogs out? But some of them are going to eat raw food that is out there. Some of them are going to eat stuff that has come out of the behind of a avian flu carrying animal, and they can get avian flu. And I just want you to be very, very aware that your animals, your domesticated animals, your pets. Now the farmers, they all know. They're culling their all their hens. It's the saddest thing. I watched this report today about what they're doing. The farmers they're killing entire flocks. They have to, because it's passing from one bird to another, and they can't sell their eggs. They can't. So I mean, I've seen so far. I think it was 60 million. It could be more. No, it was more. 136 million infected birds so far have been culled, which is a nice farmer word for killed, okay, for destroyed.
America's bird flu crisis showing no signs of slowing, with new cases just this month emerging in nearly 25 states, and for the first time in Philadelphia. Health officials there are warning people to keep an eye out for sick wild birds and stay away from them. On New York's Long Island, people in hazmat suits on the ground at Crescent Duck Farm this week following confirmed detection of H5N1, or bird flu. The family-run business forced to kill its entire flock of nearly 100,000 ducks.
Seriously, dude. Be very, very, careful with your pets. Be careful with, we have wild ducks here. They're hideous. We have Muscovy ducks. We also have African ducks. They're beautiful. But the Muscovies are just they look like turkeys. Hideous. Hideous birds. They can carry. They're wild birds. And if you have a cat and the cat should, go near their poop,
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. I can't get eggs anywhere. Anywhere. I can only get the bad ones that just are just not yellow and aren't fluffy. For some reason in New Jersey, you just can't get the good pasture-raised, nice organic eggs. So Donald Trump, before you settle the drone issue, we need eggs, and we need them fast.
Oh, my God. Yeah, what are you going to do when you can't get eggs? What are you going to do? Who are you going to do you remember when eggs were affordable? Do you remember that way back in the Biden administration, last week? It just seems so much longer.
I genuinely would like to know how Jesse Waters' little commentary there hits the MAGA base. Are they thinking, how dare he criticize our dear leader? Or are they actually thinking, well, if he's saying it, maybe there's a problem here? I'm genuinely curious.
I honestly don't know. I have no idea what goes on in Jesse Waters' head, and nor do I want to be in there and try and figure him out. I do know he was mocking Kamala Harris last night and Doug. This is what he said.
The New York Post caught her grocery shopping with Dougie Fresh. What kind of husband goes grocery shopping with his wife?
He covers the hard-hitting stuff, man. That is really the pulse of America right there.
What kind of husband goes shopping with his... Some people actually like to pick their own produce, Jesse. Some men are very good in the kitchen. Some men actually like to make a dish. They like a thin chicken cutlet, and then they have a recipe for it where it ends up with something like mushroom and sour cream involved, and it's delicious. What's wrong with you? Right, Brett? I was talking to you.
You are, and you know how I like to do my chicken. You know how I like to do my sauces, so I know you're talking to me.
I am talking to you.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's okay. I don't even. I really don't care. The call. There was a man on the phone. I actually got up there. I was going to get a drink of water and take a piss. Okay, and Brett was arguing with somebody on the phone, and I was like, let me have the phone. He gave me the phone, and the guy I said hello, like that, hello. And the guy went, I love it when people are on fire. I love to watch people burn. I was like, kiss my black ass.
Yeah, welcome to my job.
Yeah, really, this is what you want to say to your fellow American. You want to tell the country how un-American you actually really are. That you like to see your fellow American catch fire. You know, like what? We're all Robert. We're all we're all Pryor now. You know, what's his name? Richard.
I'm telling you, I wade through the dregs daily. But even for
No,
our
I just
standards,
I know that, but I'm
wasn't
just
even
saying.
that
I'm just
bad,
saying that. So if
considering-
you want me to understand who Jesse Waters is talking to, I guess it's that guy.
Got it.
You
that
asked
makes sense.
me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
now I had to explain to you what I think.
Glad he's got his fans.
Yeah, and his fans don't want to hear that, they should ever enter into the grocery store. I don't know why. I'm not really sure why that is. It's verboten. I don't know. And also not to worry about eggs. Although I will tell you that in Ozark, Missouri, they're worried about eggs. Ozark, Missouri made it to the New York Times today. Swear to God. They followed some people who went to the Walmart in Ozark, Missouri. Her name is Laura, and she was very surprised to see shoppers standing around, staring into a bin and gasping in the dairy section. She was and so she edged ever so close to see what was going on, and that is when she spied the empty shelves where there would normally be stacks of eggs. And the shelves were nearly empty. She said, quote, all of the normal size cartons of eggs. Now, I don't know what she means by normal size cartons of eggs. I don't know what Walmart's offerings are. Don't shop at the Walmart, mostly because of the Walton family. But, if I had to, I would. It's not like a real belief that I hold the way I do about Chick-fil-A,
They're open an hour longer than Publix. I don't know what to tell you. I had to get some Slim Jims just yesterday.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not that much of a fanatical person, where I don't believe in boycotts so much, but whatever. But she said all the normal size cartons of eggs were practically gone, and I heard some elderly people being really, really upset. So it's just the old folks that are just really upset about their daily intake of protein. Apparently, the other shoppers in the grocery stores that are facing empty shelves and higher prices for what has been an inexpensive source of protein, the egg, the incredible edible egg, they're okay. They're okay with paying $9. Some places they're $7. Okay. Somebody told me that they had gone into the Winn-Dixie. Now I don't go in there either, only because I know my. Just so you know what it is. I know my supermarket. I know it cold. So when I make my grocery list, because I know the first thing you're going to do is go to the deli section. The second thing that you're going to hit is, the produce section. And then you're going to wind on back and you see the fish case. And then the first aisle is going to be your jalapenos, your pickles. You know what I mean? That's how well I know my grocery store. And if I look to my left, that's where my Chewy bars are, right? Got to have my Chewy bars, the dark chocolate and almond. Oh, I shouldn't even tell you because they're almost always sold out. Very, very upsetting for me. And then a little further down is the coffee. Do you know what I mean? And so when I make my list, I know that's the only reason why I go to the same grocery store all the freaking time. Okay? So when I tell you I don't go to Winn-Dixie, it's not a slight. But somebody told me that they went to Winn-Dixie. Oh, I know who it was. It was one of the girls at the hair salon. It was one of the Trump voters. Yes, it was a Trumper. And she said, I went to the Winn-Dixie and it was $9 for eggs, as if this was still Joe Biden's fault. But just remember, Health and Human Services will not be cluing you in. They will not be telling you anything about health or humans or services. Anything that comes even close to those three things, not going to be telling you nothing.
That's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. So 30 million chickens, which is about 10% of the nation's egg-laying population. Oh, thank God I don't lay eggs anymore. They would cull me. Yeah, but 10% of the nation's egg-laying population has been killed from November to January in the last 3 months. Now, blame anybody you want for that. But those there are the facts about the $9 egg, okay? Just so you know. And the really important part about the $9 egg It's because of bird flu. Do not let your cats and dogs out and roam around freely because the ducks have it, the geese have it. Down here we have herons. We have a lot of, interesting birds. I'm so scared my cardinals. I'm so scared. One of my listeners told me how to just attract cardinals and get rid of those grackles. And she was right. It's a white seed that you use. What's that seed called? I forget. But it's just if you just put that in your bird feeder, you'll just get cardinals. You won't get any of the other annoying birds. But be careful around the birds now, the wild birds. There's a terrible thing going on, and $9 a dozen.
Fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Oh, it's Friday, thank God. All right, Steve in L.A.
Hey, Randi, love the show. I've been a long-time listener since the Air America days, and I'm finally a little bit semi-retired, so I can watch you on YouTube now. And God, I love it. You got your cute older Jewish lady, and very sweet, very sweet. I heard you the other day. I'm this old, but God, you look cute. So, anyhow, the reason I called, and I know you've got a handle on the day-to-day stuff, just the news, and I mean, we can't. I'm hearing from a lot of left-leaning people that, oh my God, it's just too much, and we got to really choose our battles, and blah blah blah. To me, BS. I think we need to stay after these people, just like they were on Obama and Biden for every little thing they did, and they were the right called them out. I think we have to. And I see some of the people on the left are starting to self-censor a little bit, and you're not doing that, and I really appreciate that.
I will never change where I stand because of who sits where. That's just not my thing. I have integrity, and I have a core principle of honesty, and just wherever the truth takes you, that's where you go. And if you like the result, you do, and if you don't, you change it. So that's that. But the idea that the first thing that we have to actually hang around Donald Trump's neck is that he let violent militia killers out of prison, people who got 22-year sentences from jury trials, people who got 18-year sentences from jury trials. He's let these people out of prison. He's emptied our prisons. Hang that around his neck. If you can't keep up with the day-to-day, because it is hectic, it is crazy, it is it's anxiety-inducing, for a lesser person.
Yeah.
However, do not ever lecture us about law and order or decency or the quality of presidents when you have one that just did what he did with violent prisoners.
These are going to be his little brown shirt militia. I mean, it's insane.
He can have his little brown shirt militia. He can. Because, this is a country of people who are freaking armed to the teeth. And why? Why are they stocked up on ammunition and, guns? Just for this occasion.
Randi, can I say one real quick thing? I think Trump has improved on one thing. His populist, fake, phony, right-wing populist, nationalist messaging, he's dialed in on that. People are like, you look into their eyes and they're like zombies now.
Right. So what are they going to do when eggs are $9? And last week they were $2.13. I mean, what are they going to do? How are they going to explain that away?
Blame Biden?
You can't.
They will.
You can't. You can't. You just can't. He is the president. And in his very, nascent stage of his presidency, already he has remember, he he said he was going to end the Ukraine war before he even took office. He said he was going to, storm all the administrative offices. They were ready to go. They were going to, be able to do their round. Their immigration roundups. Okay, they tried one last night in Newark, New Jersey. Do you know who they actually ended up getting?
They got a U.S. serviceman.
Yes, they got veterans. They got a bunch of veterans. Listen, the guy is so unbelievably incompetent that the blowback for arresting veterans, okay, is going to. And where were they working? They were working at a seafood place in New Jersey. Ocean Seafood, Oceanfront Seafood, I think it was called.
Out here in California.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared to go to work.
Yeah,
and the work I've been in the produce business for 35 years.
Yeah.
And I worked arm in arm with those guys. They're the hardest. We squeeze more out of those people than you could believe. I'm up in the office and we're talking about, hey, what did you see on Game of Thrones? Oh, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they're down there lifting 50-pound crates of avocados and putting them on pallets, and they don't have time to sit around there. When the buzzer goes off, they got 15 minutes. When the buzzer comes back on, they're back in front of the machines, the loudest, craziest machines you've ever seen, and we demonize them. We exploit them, then we demonize them. Real nice.
Well, here's the thing. Okay,
nice Christian people we are here.
Well, forget that. I mean, the judgment.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. But here's the problem, and you just honed right in on it. If 75% of the workforce isn't showing up in California, and they're not, because they are too scared, and they're too scared to send their kids to school, because today they tried to get into a Chicago elementary school, and they couldn't get in. Nobody would let them in. But these raids people are afraid. They won't go to work. What does that do to the price of tomatoes? What does it do to the price of oranges? And what happens to the oranges? They just rot in the field now. That's what happens.
The amazing thing, I work with all these big growers and guys that run these huge packing facilities. They all voted for Trump.
I know.
And it's like cognitive dissonance. When I was telling them 8 months ago, when they were saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to deport people," blah, I said, "Who are you going to find to pick the oranges, man?"
Right.
And who we're going to find to do this? Oh, no, he ain't going to do that. Blah, blah, blah.
That's the thing. You just nailed it.
God.
That was the answer I was getting to is, oh, he'll never do that. He's just saying that to sound strong and wrong. People like strong and wrong. But, he's going to be great for, our taxes. And he's going to be great for, the price of rice or whatever. And, we just can't live with, $3.09 gas. Whatever.
Like you said, cacistocracy doesn't exactly roll off, but
no, it doesn't.
But my God, could you? What other word is there for this?
I don't know. But
it.
Listen, I promised I would say what time the vote is supposed to be tonight. It is 9 o'clock.
Oh, go, and keep up the good, strong, solid work.
Thank you. But honestly, 9 o'clock tonight. Why on a Friday night at 9 o'clock would they schedule the confirmation vote for the Secretary of Defense? Why? Because we'll all be drunk. That's why. Because it's Friday. And they're hoping we won't be home. We'll be out and about. We'll be sitting at the bar. We'll be hanging with our friends, maybe having a nice dinner, maybe foregoing the dinner and just pounding down beers, which is my preferred Friday night MO. Okay? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. But here's the thing. If Mitch McConnell, Tom Tillis, that's all we need because Murkowski from Alaska and Collins from Maine are definite no's. They are not, and all the Democrats are going to vote against this drunk coming anywhere near the Pentagon, let alone being the Secretary of Defense. I mean, so we need 2 Republicans. But if Mitch McConnell is a no, let's just say he is, which he should be if he has any integrity left, any character left, any love for the military at all that he says he has, he should be a no, because the guy is financially, he ran 2 not-for-profits into the ground. Okay, he's just a mess with regard to management. He's not good at it, and this is the largest budget we have in the entirety of the United States government, which is saying something, saying a lot. Also, he's only ever been a platoon leader, and that was in the National Guard. Not to, swipe at anybody in the Guard or the Reserve, but the regulars know what that is. They know what I just said. Also, he's a drunk, okay? And he's a spousal abuser, whether it's emotional abuse or getting in somebody's face and standing nose to nose and screaming at somebody, threatening somebody, and having to pay somebody $50,000 to never talk about what went on in that marriage. That is not a person you want in charge of the U.S. military, where we have a problem with raping. It's a pretty rapey place, the military. And if you've never been there, you have no idea what I just said, but if you have, you know exactly what I mean. Exactly. That man is not going to cut down the amount of raping that goes on in the military for 1 in 4 people who serve. Okay? It's just not.
We cannot trust the safety of our country to someone who has demonstrated repeatedly using very bad judgment with alcohol and doing it in ways that truly have incapacitated him. This is not a moment to take that kind of risk with our national security. And I hope that all 53 Republicans are thinking very hard about that.
Me too. But we'll find out at 9 o'clock. But I would keep my eye if I were, Collins and Murkowski, they're a no. So we need 2 more. Please, dear God, Mitch McConnell, you got the Supreme Court of your wet, disgusting dreams. That should be enough for you. Do not sacrifice our young kids to the command of a Hegseth. He's unworthy, and you know it. And Tom Tillis of North Carolina, I just know that's why Donald Trump went there today and said, all the relief money comes through me now. He was sending a message, a Sicilian message, to Tom Tillis in North Carolina. You better be down with Hegseth. You better be down with betraying the military, man. We'll see.